What's up?
Hey, back at it again.
We are back with another show, and we're talking about the keys to success when going against the Detroit Lions. So I'm here today, Nicotina, joined by Dre Day 49. What's up, Dre?
What's up? 49er faithful. Hope you guys are ready for this Sunday. I know I am.
Oh, I cannot wait, dude. I cannot wait. And we're going to go over some of the keys to going over the Lions. Like I said earlier, we're also going to go over some of the defensive and offensive stats to kind of see where they align in terms of the Niners and the Lions. And I got some shit from social media that we're going to go over as well. But
bring it on.
First of all, yeah, dude, I am so excited for this game. I mean, we're back in the NFC title game. We got back there the second year in a row. Obviously, last year we were kind of robbed because, I mean, shit. Purdy went out right away in like the fifth play of the game, and that was it. And that was a joke after that. It was a complete joke. I was like...
No, you're absolutely right. Robbery is the first thing that comes to mind. And look what we did to them this year during that rematch.
We smoked them, dude.
Yeah, smoked them. Pretty much whatever Debo was talking about the whole season, off season, him exchanging barbs with the secondary for the Eagles. So, I mean, we pretty much put them in their place, and I think we had that pretty much in our minds going into that game and through the season, that chip on our shoulder. So,
absolutely, dude, absolutely. Okay, so what I'm going to do as well... Oh, no, thanks. What I'm going to do as well is... I call this a call-in show. I know we're still a young channel, still building up our reputation, but this is going to be the first ever call-in show. So during the show, if you want to jump in and talk about the 49ers, talk about the playoffs, talk about anything you want, you may do so. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat so you guys can jump in. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. If I could find it. There it is. Paste.
Bring on the calls.
And there we go. So, and what I'll do is, oh man, you know what? It's so stupid. I wanted to pin it to the chat, but I got this stupid emoji thing in my way. It's so annoying. Anyway, it's fine. Anyhow, so there is the link. And look, we were going to score. So GR Meadows writes Niners 45, Lions 9. I hope that's the case because that would be fucking badass. Hell yeah.
I love it.
Felix Orozco says, yeah, we smoking too. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. There we go.
My boy Felix.
So the one thing I want to bring up first was this right here, which is the 49ers, Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey have been named as MVP finalists. McCaffrey is also the finalist for Offensive Player of the Year. I thought he won Offensive Player of the Year, but this is from the SF Niners. This guy's rocking his channel. He just crossed over 100,000 subscribers. So, congratulations to you, buddy. Puts out really good quality content. And then also Kyle Shanahan is a finalist for Coach of the Year. Now, to me, this is awesome to see. It shows how dominant they were this entire year. Yeah. Now, do I think Kyle Shanahan should win Coach of the Year? I think he deserves it. But I don't think he'll win it because of coaches like D'Amico Ryans, who completely turned their team around, got them in the playoffs. If they would have won that game against the Ravens, it's a lock. There's no way anyone else would have won that.
You probably even think, as of right now, D'Amico's pretty much running away with it. If you're not putting your name in the hat for Kyle Shanahan, I mean, there's actually a number of other coaches that deserve probably the call as well too. But D'Amico's the one in my book as far as Coach of the Year. So.
Who were the previous year winners, Coach of the Year winners? Let's see who that was. Because, I mean, I would think that Dan Campbell should be also in the running for that because...
Yeah,
Dan. Let me see.
Let's see. Who else?
I
know they were shouting out... I'm sorry. The name is escaping me right now. The Cleveland Browns head coach, just because of all the quarterback conundrum they had this year with Deshaun Watson going out early.
Yeah. Well,
going through the series of quarterbacks. Making the
Kevin
playoffs.
Stefanski. Is that it?
Excuse me. Thank you.
Well, he won it in 2020. I guess you can win it again for all the shit he went through. Mike Vrabel in 2021, and then Brian DeBole of the New York Giants. Isn't he going to get fired now?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the joke of a season for them this year.
Yeah,
that whole quarterback room is a disaster right now, and they're a little bit real in the quarterback department right now. So could be looking to this next year's draft. Caleb Williams comes to mind, some of those early round quarterbacks, the cat from the North Carolina as well too. So there's a number of great young up and coming quarterbacks that'll be in this draft. So the pickings are for real.
The pickings are for real. And guys, like I said earlier, I put the link in the chat. If you want to jump on and talk about sports, talk about the Niners, talk about the playoffs, go right ahead. We'll have you on for a short time, and then we'll move on to somebody else. Every call in, I'm going to keep on just for a short time, even if there's no one else waiting, because I just don't want to keep, give the impression that you can just jump on and stay on for the rest of the show. But just kind of come on and kind of say your piece, ask some questions, say what's up, and just have a good time. But yes, breaking news: Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, and so Kyle Shanahan is a finalist for Coach of the Year. Brock Purdy is a finalist for NFL MVP. Now, I don't think he's going to win it. I think it's going to go to Lamar Jackson. He's pretty much dominated this whole year. And good on him. He's been outstanding this entire year. And then Christian McCaffrey is also a candidate for MVP, and also it says he's a finalist for Offensive Player of the Year, but I thought he won Offensive Player of the Year. But either way, McCaffrey's that dominant.
Absolutely.
And
all season
if he does
long
win
consistent.
Absolutely. And if he does win it does go to show you that, he was more valuable, or just more, he was just better slightly than Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill is amazing, but he had a lot of injuries this year towards the end of the year, and I think that really slowed him down. And then playing in the conditions in Kansas City, he was fucked. So
yeah.
So that was cool for the Niners. I'm glad to see that. Another bit of news: John Lynch tells KNBR that Joe Montana and Barry Sanders will be the honorary captains for the Niners and the Lions at the NFC Championship game. Now that's fucking cool. I like that idea.
I mean,
that they're going to be there representing their teams. What do you think about that?
Who better than, Barry Sanders from Detroit?
Who else are you going to pick? Herman Moore?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
You don't really have too many, but obviously that's the right choice, especially for, everything that's gone on with Detroit. Michigan in college brings home the national title. I don't know if anybody out there got a chance to see that Barry Sanders documentary. Great documentary. I highly recommend everybody checking that out. But just everything he talked about in that documentary, and now look at where the Lions are at right now. So, he's stoked for the city. He's stoked for the franchise. Obviously, probably the greatest running back, in my opinion, of all time.
He's badass.
His tenure was cut short, on his own merits, but a great person, great human being, very humble at the same time, Hall of Famer, hands down. And then from the Niners side, Joe Montana, 4 Super Bowl rings, the leader of the 80s for the Niners faithful. Didn't really get a chance growing up watching him. He was kind of coming into the end of his days. I was right when I was becoming a Niner fan. That was right when the Steve Young era was coming up. We won that Super Bowl in '94. But Steve Young, legend. It's a great story at the beginning of the game.
The fact that they got Joe Montana to show up to this game is huge. The obvious choice, the easiest choice would have been Jerry Rice or even Steve Young, but they were able to get Joe to show up for this game, and that's huge. That shows that he still cares, that he's still a fucking Niner. Exactly. And that's going to be huge. The crowd is going to lose their minds seeing Joe Montana, let alone Barry Sanders.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think it's awesome that they're both going to be present and be captains, honorary captains of each team respectively. That's fucking badass.
Exactly. When you think of the San Francisco 49ers and the glory days of the 80s, no one comes to mind more than Joe Montana. You think of the glory days for Detroit, if you even want to call them that. Not a lot of championships, not a lot of Super Bowls to count, but when you think of the Detroit Lions, you think of Barry Sanders first and foremost. So,
oh, absolutely. So another thing too is that we've been kind of caught up in this talk about Deebo Samuel. Now we know that he went out with an injury, a shoulder injury. I thought it was a little weird that he didn't come back to the game, that he came out in his pads and then he went back, then he came out in his sweatshirt, and some of that I questioned, was it him or was it the team? I would imagine it's probably the team doctor saying, hey, we can't risk it because if we win this game, we need you 100% or as close to it for the NFC Championship, let alone the Super Bowl, because you got that bye week. Isn't that fucked that the 1 year the Raiders made it to the Super Bowl? They- that was the
Just
year they
say
got
it.
rid of the bye week.
That's right.
They got rid of it because they were like, "Hey, let's just speed things up." And then the one their center went off to Tijuana and got lit and
Yep,
arrested or whatever. It was like, oh my
exactly.
god,
Yep.
that was
Oh, the
bad.
good old days, Raider Nation.
And then they went into that game and got destroyed.
Yep.
Look, Daniel, who's normally on the panel as a Niner Dan, you got to change that avatar. It's just so creepy.
I agree.
And like
pretty
Daniel
funny,
says,
though.
smash that like button, guys. If you haven't done so
yeah.
yet, smash the like button. We're simulcasting on both channels on my main channel, which is Nicotina, and also on the new sports channel, which is the Drury Area Sports channel. So subscribe to both channels and make sure you smash the like button on both channels if you're able to.
Do it now.
If you want to support the channel, do so by becoming a member over on Nicotina. It's going to be a little while before I can get that kind of functioning over on Drury Area Sports. You got to have over 1,000 subs and over like 3,000 or 4,000 views. So it's going to take some time, but we're going to get there eventually. But if you want to support the channel, you know, in general, you could join me over on Patreon or as a member over on Nicotina. So jump over that channel and you can do that to help support the channel because we are going to keep going all year long. Granted, we're towards the end of the year, but as the year goes on, you know, we'll start moving over to, you know, NBA playoffs, baseball, all that stuff. But the Niners are going to be the main focus on this channel. So, but we cover everything. So, another thing I want to bring up. So we talked about Deebo Samuel, and we're like, you know, how is he doing? And I, you know, I get the feeling he's going to come back and play at the NFC Championship game because I know him and CJ Gardner-Johnson had a back and forth, and it would seem like he's kind of ducking him if he didn't come back. So it would surprise me if he didn't play in this game because with him in the offense, it changes everything.
No, you're right on point. I mean, that's how the media is kind of treating this whole thing as well, too. Apparently, the 49ers don't even have a chance without Deebo Samuel, the way that a lot of people see it.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's what they're always going to say.
We see it a little bit differently. However, we know the numbers. Obviously, I'm pretty sure it's 32.8 with Deebo Samuel average points per game, and then it drops down all the way to 18.9 without him. So, you know they're impacted definitely. I know Purdy's numbers are obviously a lot better too with Deebo in the game too. He brings a standard and a presence to the offense. We all know that. He's been that way since day one. One of the only featured wide backs in this entire league that does it the right way. And everybody's kind of feeding off and kind of trying to find the next Deebo Samuel in the draft, though. So obviously his impact is huge. We're going to need him on offense to set the tone. It's looking like he's trending towards playing. You've already heard it from Kyle Shanahan himself during the press conference saying that even as far as yesterday, he was feeling better. He's on the mend. It's looking good. He doesn't practice yesterday. He practices limited today. You don't see the blue jersey on him for like no contact or anything. So I think that's a good sign as well too. But Niners are definitely going to need him to be their enforcer in this game. Limited or not, his presence on the field will be felt if he plays.
Oh, absolutely. But he makes their offense more dynamic with the end arounds, with his ability to break tackles and you know, the run after the catch yards, his yak yards. I mean, he's huge. And not only that, but like when he's out there with George Kittle, with Brandon Ayuk, with McCaffrey in the backfield, who can be a deadly receiver as well.
That's when they're at their best.
Oh yeah. And plus, I mean, like, look, when he goes out, they double team Ayuk, which makes it harder for Purdy to find another receiver. He's got to go to either Kittle or he's got to go to Juwan Jennings or another receiver in general. So I think that's why you saw Christian McCaffrey get so many targets. He got 12 targets because he didn't have Deebo to balance things out. He just had Ayuk, and then he had the other guys. But I mean, those other guys are still really good. But it just shows what effect it has on the offense.
Yeah, it was check down. And I know Purdy, kind of talked about it, how, you got to give what the defense gives you, or got to take what the defense gives you. I completely agree with the way defenses scheme when Deebo's not in the game versus when he is. So obviously a lot more focus does go to Brandon Ayuk. They pretty much box him with a safety up high. They press him, they bump him at the line. So yes, I believe if for any reason Debo is not able to play in this game, look for Detroit to pretty much take a piece of the Green Bay handbook of how they were able to limit the Niner pass game in this up and coming NFC Championship Sunday game. So should be a great one, though. I mean, we're all pulling for Debo, and I know his determination and the type of player he is. I have a strong feeling he's going to be suiting up on Sunday.
Absolutely. I mean,
make no mistake.
And then we got this right here. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Now, this is some footage from practice. Now, to me, this looks like he's ready to rock. And there he is moving around. Obviously, I think it's his left shoulder, but that looks pretty good.
Yeah, the movement. I mean, you would like to see him like that, getting loose, having a good time, staying in the mindset of that he is playing on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You also heard from Brandon Ayuk. They talk every day. They're pretty much best friends on the team. If Brandon Ayuk saying that he's expecting him to play, I'm expecting him to play. Again, I mentioned no blue jersey, no non-contact jersey. Obviously, they're probably not going to, hit him.
They're not going to whack him.
They're not going to whack him. The defense knows how vital he is to the team. There's not going to be anything. The focus is there. The goal is set. And like I said, I'm expecting to see him play this Sunday.
And then we got a little bit more here. This is from this is posted by KMBR. Hold on, let me silence that so we don't get any. But look at that. He looks ready to rock.
Beautiful.
And so you have Ayuk on the right side, him on the left side, wherever you have him, it just creates so much more chaos for defenses. And I think
absolutely
the fact that you have the Detroit Lions with one of the worst secondaries, in the playoffs right now, this is your chance to really take advantage of them. Their corners are not very good. They're both young. They do have their nickelback corner is actually really good. Mm-hmm. And then they got, obviously they have
CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, he's back there ready to smack Debo the first chance he gets. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But already you're seeing Debo move around really well. I know he didn't practice at the beginning of the week, but now he's definitely full speed ahead, which looks really, really good. And it's awesome. They have to have him in the game.
Good to see. Obviously, good to see Thursday heading into Friday. One more day of before they take. I'm sure they're going to have practice tomorrow before they start getting ready for the weekend.
So let's see here. This is yards. Oh, I'm looking at something right now. So Detroit has has the fourth best rushing defense in the postseason, still remaining out there right now. The Niners are a little bit farther down because they give up a lot of yards to Aaron Jones, which I think really, if you eliminate that 53-yard bust, he didn't have that many yards. I think he had like 60-something yards going.
Yeah, he's averaging about 4.3, 4.2 yards a carry.
Yeah,
I mean, nothing,
if that.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think it was more like 3.6, but still, I mean, that made a huge difference on his numbers and on the overall outcome of their rush defense. But
excuse me. I think you're right. It was lower about 3.6. I think after that run, it bumped up to about 4.4, 4.5. So. No, I mean, the numbers are skewed. One game doesn't really pretty much depict how the Niners' run defense actually has been a majority of the year. But as we already alluded to, Eric Armstead not being there for many weeks, obviously, I think needed a week or so to get his game legs underneath him. I'm expecting the front seven to show up for this game, stop the run. And then can pretty much control the ball on the offensive side by running the ball. So that's the key to the game in my mind.
When it comes to the passing, I mean, the Lions right now, amongst all the teams that were in the playoffs, including the teams that got eliminated, they have the worst passing defense in 2 games. Mm-hmm. So in 2 games, they give up 676 yards. That's averaging 338 yards a game that they're giving up. As a secondary, as a unit.
Yeah, the numbers even don't even tell you the whole story. I know the last 5 previous matchups on their way into the playoffs, all the number 1 wideouts have just exploded for ridiculous numbers. I mean, even in that game with Dallas a few games before the year ended, I want to say CeeDee Lamb went off for 220 yards and like 2 scores. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson, well over 120 yards each game. A touchdown, I believe, in each game. Mike Evans in the previous game goes off for about $140, and a couple of scores too. So
Now,
I think obviously either or, depending on who they want to cover, you're going to either get a big game from Debo or Brandon Ayuk. In my
yeah,
mind, they can't
I
cover the
definitely
whole
think
field.
so. No, they cannot cover the whole field. And I think Courtney Sutton. I think that's the name of the corner. I have to look at it to be accurate, but he's not been playing very well at all.
Mm-hmm.
Niner for Life writes, our defense really needs to step it up step it up this game. We can't afford to give up those big plays. No, and the thing too is that the Lions are not a big play offense. They don't chuck the ball down the field kind of like the Bills do or anybody else.
No, they're more methodical. They're more
Yeah.
methodical with the way they try to move the ball
Well,
down the field.
and they're also a run heavy offense. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that when you go against a team like the Niners, who, statistically and historically have been good against the rush, even though this year they've struggled a little bit against the rush, I would say they're not perfect. But I think that if they can stop the run, then you're going to force Jared Goff into these, shorter intermediate passes. And on top of that, I think one of the issues you're going to have here is, so we talked about this. We talked about their passing defense, and now I know this says regular season, but it's the postseason. It's kind of weird. I don't know why it does that. You can tell games played
from the 2023 season. I get it.
Yeah. This is just the postseason because you can see on the games played. It's only one or twos. Yeah.
Yep.
So they have the worst. They're giving up the most yards through the air. Now, when it comes to the rushing, obviously they have the number 4 defense against the rush. And that's through 2 games, and they've given up an average of about 78.5 yards a game. But you figure that, Christian McCaffrey averages about 100 yards a game, 80 yards a game. So that's completely manageable for the 49ers. But I think that we'll have more success against them because, 1, they're going to be on the road. 2, they're going to be in a hostile Levi Stadium. I don't see the Lions just hammering down our offense. And then I expect Brock to bounce back.
Yeah.
I don't see him having a game like he had this past weekend.
I don't see the whole team playing the way they did. I just, as consistent as they've been, and yes, we had the 3-game skid, and a lot can be said about not having Debo and Trent Williams those games and just not being ourselves. I think for this game, a lot can be said. Detroit's they're the darlings of the postseason right now. Everything's favoring them. I mean, I think for this game, it's really going to come down to, and obviously Detroit's a very young team in the playoffs. You kind of need that veteran. You need that veteran leadership. You need those guys that have been in those moments a lot of the time. And you can make your case for a few of those Detroit players that have probably seen the postseason. Jared Goff has, been to the postseason as well too. But I think that's going to be in the Niners' favor this Sunday. I think something we haven't even mentioned as well is the fact that no, you're good.
I forgot I was sharing that screen. I was like, da, 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 da.
the fact that we haven't even mentioned, the weather conditions. I think it's going to be. I think the Niners are going to have their traction. They've learned a lot from playing in the rain last weekend. So I think the playing field is not going to be leveled this Sunday.
No, it's not. I mean, Brock Purdy is playing at an elite level this entire year, and even going into last season. Okay, you're talking about a guy who hadn't played in almost 3 weeks, so he had 3 weeks of rest. Granted, they were practicing and keeping moving around, but still. I don't think the weather helped. I think the weather really hindered his game.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came down to it, when he had to make it count, he drove the ball down the field and led us to a touchdown to win that game.
Mm-hmm. I honestly think we're going to see a lot of that in this game. And I think, like I said, I think the weather, we all from how we've seen Brock Purdy play this season, and in the games where there was inclement weather, we see how he's performed. We're not going to have that type of weather. We're going to have a whole week of preparation. We've already gotten that one playoff game out of the way. I just think it's just going to be a different story this time around. And I think we took our punches, we took our licks just in this one game. We were on the brink of being eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was in itself extra motivation for this week to not let that feeling continue to sink in. We are the better team. Like I said, I'm expecting a way better performance this time around from both sides of the ball, or from all sides of the ball.
No, definitely. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. There's no question that it's going to be better all the way around. I think Brock Purdy is going to throw for at least, at the very minimum, 250 yards. I think more like it's going to be 300 plus.
Yes, I think that they have a leaky enough secondary where Brock Purdy is going to be able to get his receivers into space, and they're going to be able to get a lot of yards after the catch. We're going to see if this Detroit defense are as good as they say they are. Sure, tackling. I know I've kind of alluded to this whole time we've had our discussions about defenses and tackling. The best tackling team in this game is going to win. It's a lot of it is about limiting yards after the catch for both defenses.
So let's talk about the keys to beating the Lions. Okay, so you were saying one is tackling. I agree. Tackling is a major, major thing. Now, when it comes to like a quarterback like Jared Goff, he's not a mobile quarterback. This guy can't run out of the pocket the way that Jordan Love was. He can't run out of the pocket the way Lamar does. Even Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is not a running quarterback, but he'll burn you if he has to. And those usually sting the hardest.
They're strong. They got great lower body strength, upper body strength. They could shed tackles. Not only are they elusive, but they're strong enough to shed tackles. I think you bring up a good point. I think Jared Goff is not a mobile quarterback. I think he can get a little too comfortable in the pocket at times, forget his escapability. And I think, we all look at sacks. I think it's kind of a misleading stat. You want to see the run. You want to see the ending result, but I think it's really about being able to get pressure. And the Niners are one of the best teams at getting pressure. I believe we're second in the league in pressures this year.
We are.
I think just as much as disrupting Jared Goff prior to him going through his progressions, I think we'll do a lot to throw him off his timing. We'll be able to potentially get a couple of turnovers. I think this is a great opportunity to really showcase how good the secondary has been at creating turnovers this year, leading the league with 22 interceptions.
So we talked about tackling. Okay, what's another key of the game that you feel? So we'll do 3 keys of the game. So that's one. What's another one that you feel is a key to beating the Lions? You
got to be able to contain the running game, and I'm talking about Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Yeah,
2 completely different, but at the same time lethal running backs. Can gash you. Whenever the opportunity persists. I mean, you have David Montgomery, who's the 235, 6'3" running back that can go between the tackles, and then you have Jahmyr Gibbs on the outside with the pass game, the bubble screens, who can make one cut and finish the job. So it's going to be about containing that running game, number 2 for me.
Absolutely. For me, number 1, obviously, I agree, it's tackling. Number 2 key of the game for me is getting pressure on Jared Goff. As I said earlier, he's a non-mobile quarterback. You should be able to get a ton of pressure on this guy. And we've known from the past that getting pressure on Jared Goff, he tends to get happy feet or he gets a little nervous and he starts throwing interceptions. So getting into space, getting pressure on him is going to be huge. And, I mean, you're probably not going to get as much pressure as you want off the edges because their best offensive lineman is their left tackle and their right tackle. So Penei Sewell is one of the best left tackles in the game. But but getting that pressure up the middle, blitzing in or doing stunts up the middle is really going to help out. That play they ran against Jordan Love, where they brought both Greenlaw and Fred Warner in on the blitz, and then at the last second they backed out of it. And that caused huge holes in the offensive line, which 3 guys ran right through. It was like Bosa, Armstead, and I think it was Chase Young got through, and then he had to throw it into the dirt.
Yeah.
So, and that's what led to the field goal instead of the touchdown after that huge 53-yard run. David writes that, what the hell's my fucking mouse? There it is. David writes that the main key to winning this game is to make sure our DBs have the right cleats on. That is very important, David. Yes,
exactly.
very,
No,
very important.
like I said, we hadn't brought up weather, and I know without inclement weather, they're going to be able to gain their traction. I'm talking about both sides of the ball, offensive line, DBs. We saw everybody slipping on Sunday. I think
that was ridiculous.
Like I said, it's going to level the playing field, and we're going to see the Niners that we're accustomed to seeing full go on Sunday. So,
well, and on the other side of the field, I mean, when you look at like who's their biggest threat in terms of the pass rush, it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson, right? Mm-hmm. But then if you look at his stats in the playoffs, right, he had 2 sacks against the Rams, 1 against Tampa Bay. But the thing about that is the 1 sack against Tampa Bay, he went unblocked. There was nobody blocking him.
Yes,
he ran straight in and sacked the quarterback. And then one of those sacks against the Rams, Stafford tripped and fell, and he just kind of touched him for a sack. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like he brought him down. He just took advantage of the fact that he fell on the ground. Kind of like what Kinlaw got a few weeks ago when the quarterback it was Jalen Hurts tripped and fell, and he was the first guy to touch him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in reality, he has 1 sack that he's physically earned as opposed to the other 2, which is they've kind of given it to him. The Dork Knight 23, what's up, buddy? He says hopefully the Niners QB is a game changer and not just a game manager, because it's going to be a hard fight against the Lions. But with former Panthers CMC, you have the best running back in the league. You got the weapon, and I agree. I feel like in this game, Kyle needs to use Christian McCaffrey like he's Tyreek Hill. He needs to use him everywhere. And that would be my third key of the game.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, is unlocking Christian McCaffrey, making him the biggest threat on the field, because they're not equipped.
I want to see 20 to 25 touches at least this game.
Absolutely. He had 17 carries against the Packers. He's got to have more than that. He's got to have 20 to 25.
I'm saying at least. If we're getting to the 30 mark, we're winning this game. I can tell you that right now.
Yes, there's no way. And I think that our defense is going to have a much bigger impact on the Lions. But again, if you look back at the Packer game, okay, obviously there was a lot of ups and downs. So there was a lot of ups and downs against the Packers, but at the same time, our defense completely shut them down. They only had 6 points going into halftime, and then obviously they did give up some touchdowns based on that huge return by Nixon. So, and that was
yes,
that's tough to hold them right there.
Yes,
but the defense played really well. Nathaniel Frankel, who's a Lions fan, looks like, he says Lions are taking these. Sorry, boys, taking this one. Lions run defense is locking down CMC, haven't allowed a 70+ yard rusher all year. Right. And I agree with that. But at the same time, Christian McCaffrey is not just a runner. He's a receiver as well. They're going to be doing a lot of different things, a lot of end arounds with Deebo Samuel, straight handoffs to Deebo Samuel. So they're going to be throwing a lot of shit at the Lions defense.
Absolutely.
We all pull. I'm going to cut up the knife.
No. He makes a point. We know what their front seven is going to bring in this game. It's going to be up to their secondary to stop the Niners passing game when it all comes down to it.
And these guys play hard too. I mean, look, Dan Campbell's your quarterback.
No,
he's inspired them to play.
They feed off his energy. They all bite kneecaps. They all bite kneecaps. So
Daniel writes, I could see Brock throwing for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. Conditions are there for the offense to excel. I definitely agree. And that's the thing is that the front seven, your defensive line on the Lions. They're playing really, really good right now. But if you guys can't stop our receivers in the secondary, we're going to throw all day on you guys. And then that's going to lead to open up the rushing game because they're so worried about the passing game. So that's where it's really going to open things up, because then we're going to start running play actions, and it's really going to be a hard time. Now,
maybe look out for an appearance of Elijah Mitchell in that second half before starting to
Jordan Mason might make an appearance on the sideline. But definitely the Lions are going to be a huge challenge for the 49ers. But, I actually feel better about the Lions than I do the Packers. The Packers were just kind of an unknown. They were so hot, and they were they just didn't give a shit that I was really worried about those guys. I'm like, man, and they were playing so well. But the Lions gave up 354 yards, I want to say, to Baker Mayfield?
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry, but like, and you're playing in a dome. There's no weather
controlled, yeah, and
environment, temperature
exactly.
controlled.
Their numbers,
their
numbers are terrible away from any controlled arenas. When they're playing on grass, outdoor conditions, they're a different team. Another team that comes up to mind, the Dallas Cowboys, that just can't seem to figure it out. From turf to grass.
Oh,
so
those guys were the biggest front runners.
I'm not saying Detroit's Dallas. I'm just saying those numbers are definitely pop out at you when you look at them.
The Lions have gone up against two better quarterback matchups in the Bucs and the Rams. I mean,
for the simple fact that they played 2 games and the Niners have only played 1, I guess.
Well, okay, you're wrong here because you said Purdy don't got it. It hasn't been here before. He's been here before. He's been in the NFC title game last year. I mean, granted, he got hurt, but he was in the postseason last year as well. So that I would say is incorrect. But going back to this, I mean, we played against the Buccaneers earlier this season, and we beat them easily. It was a closer game at halftime. In the second half, we just pulled away. Yeah. In fact, let me look up the stats on that game real quick, just so we can kind of get to the bottom of that one. But I mean, giving up that many yards to Baker Mayfield was huge. Those deep bombs to Mike Evans was fucking killing the Lions early on.
Yep.
But they were a better team. The Lions were a better team in the second half. They pulled away as they should have.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the 49ers Bucks stats. See what we did there. Here it is. I got it. It shows like 4,000 yards. That's the that's the total. Hold on. How do we get into it? So as I try to figure this out, okay, so here's that. Is that just the video it's going to show me? Yeah, it's just the video. Hold on. But what do you think, Dre? I mean, going against the Buccaneers is different than going against the 49ers, in my opinion.
Absolutely. The Buccaneers were a mid-tier team at best all season. And yeah, they were starting to play a good football towards the end. Snuck into the playoffs, had to have a lot of help. Pretty much, offensively, probably a top 10 team offensively as the season went on. Defensively, nothing to write home about. I think it was obviously a favorable matchup at home for Detroit. Already riding high off the first matchup at home against the Rams. When you look at the landscape of the NFC, all the NFC teams, you knew the 4 that were most likely going to be there at the end, and they were the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Lions, and the 49ers. As the season went on, you started to realize that the Cowboys and the Eagles weren't who we thought they were. No, and then when it all came down to it, it was the 49ers and the Lions, and look where we're at right now. I think, like you said, Detroit handled the Buccaneers in a head-to-head matchup. The Niners handled the Buccaneers in a head-to-head matchup. The Buccaneers are not the 49ers. Make no mistake about that.
Well, and right here. So let me go ahead and take this off real quick. So this was against the Lions. Baker Mayfield went 26 of 41 for 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. And wasn't one of those picks at the end of the game? It was.
Pretty much to seal the game. Exactly.
Yeah. And he had a 94.5 quarterback rating, right? Goff, on the other hand, had a great game, 103 quarterback rating. That's great. No picks, 2 touchdowns. But then we go over to when they played San Francisco. Baker Mayfield was 29 of 45 for 246, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and a 26.7 quarterback rating. That's a huge fucking difference from what you're seeing against the Lions, where he had a 94.5 rating. I mean, that's huge. Rashad White ran for 30 yards. I think he ran for more. He ran for 55 against the Lions in the postseason.
The big sign is in the receiving. Obviously, Mike Evans going off, the number 1 receiver, 12 targets, a touchdown, 8 receptions, 147 yards. You expect a big day from either Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel. Pick your poison. If you're going to try to bottle up Deebo, Brandon Ayuk's going to go off. Like I said, Detroit cannot cover the whole field. Their secondary is a suspect at best. In the back end of the league, as far as the NFC goes, Purdy and the receiving core should be able to exploit the secondary.
I mean, if you look at this as well, it's like Rashad White was averaging 6.1 a carry, Chase Edmonds 4.8 a carry. I mean, that's huge. Mike Evans, 8 catches, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Kate Otten, 5 catches for 65 yards. Look, these are all big numbers that they gave up. Now, granted, the Buccaneers gave up big numbers too. I mean, look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sorry about that. 8 catches for 77 yards, 9 catches for 65 yards from Sam Laporta. Those are the two I'm worried about the most, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Those
Absolutely.
3 are the most deadliest ones that can really break, or they have the ability to. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs can break one easily on any defense. So I am very worried about.
That's how I see the Detroit Lions attacking this 49ers defense, is by getting as many receivers as you can. I'm also talking about pass catching tight ends and spreading the 49ers out.
So he says, Rashad had one long run. He had negative yards in his last 3 carries. He spells it carries like it's a woman's name. I'm just joking with you. I mean, right here, his longest was 16 yards. I mean, he still ran for 55 yards. I mean, that's still a lot you're giving up. And Baker Mayfield ran for 15. Like, Jesus. Like I said, when you go back to the regular season against the Niners, 30, 1 rush for 17, 4 for 8. I mean, they couldn't run the ball for shit.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can recreate that again. Look at Ayuk, 5 catches, 156 yards, and a touchdown. He had that bomb that Purdy threw to him on the left side, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was a big day for Brandon Ayuk, and I expect a big day from him too, given the fact that the Detroit Lions can't seem to stop the number 1 receiver on the field, and it's pretty evident by all the numbers from the previous 5 to 6 weeks.
Well, he says that the Lions match up with the Niners way better than the Bucs do.
That's true.
That's true. You guys, the Lions are a better team. The Lions should match up better against the Niners because they're a better team. Now, are the Niners gonna treat the Bucs? I mean, treat the Lions like the Bucs? No, but what I'm saying is that you can see the differences in how we handled the Buccaneers in the regular season when they were still trying to make the playoffs, the Buccaneers, and then once they were in the playoffs, how the Lions handled them. So it was a bit of a difference there. Nine for Life writes that Stafford had 367 yards and 2 TDs against them. That's what I'm saying. I don't see why Brock can't be thrown for over 300 yards and at least 2 touchdowns on the night, and that's just through the air. We're not talking about McCaffrey on the ground, Debo on the ground, possibly Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason.
We haven't even mentioned George Kittle. He's a matchup nightmare no matter what team is on. I don't think there's a linebacker out there or a strong safety that can cover George Kittle. Expect him to be living all day in the middle if their linebacking core cannot control him.
Let me see if I can find this one real quick. Yeah, George Kittle is going to be a major factor as well.
But the blocking, I know they're going to
Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is going to have a great game.
They're both going to be utilized in the blocking scheme, chipping
in the blocking scheme.
Yes,
but at the same time, Laporta has to go up against Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, who are excellent in pass coverage, especially against tight ends.
The numbers, the numbers are great throughout the season. I think Fred Warner is one of the best ones to. In that regard, as far as coverage linebackers, Dre Greenlaw's coming into his own. He's a sideline to sideline linebacker in general. So the man plays with his head on fire. I expect another big game from him as far as tackling, being in the right position, and hopefully making another tremendous play when we need it. So expect big games from Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw in the run game, and also especially in the passing game. With Sam, the duties of covering Sam Laporta.
So let's see here, and also too, for during the regular season, the Buccaneers were so they had the 3rd worst defense against tight ends. So that would explain why Sam Laporta did so well. But then again, Sam Laporta is hella good, so he's going to get those catches anyway. I think, or for the most part, at least get close to what he got. Let's see, where do they rank here? I'm trying to find the Lions. I thought I did this the right way, but when I ranked it, it went the other way. Oh, there we go. Let's see. The 49ers are the 6th best against tight ends. The Lions are 24th against tight ends. So even if you're trying to, cover both Debo and Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, you have George Kittle who's going to run around against the 24th defense against tight ends. And that's not good.
Not to mention fourth and Jawan.
Third and Jawan.
Third and Jawan. Third, fourth, whatever you want. He comes up big in the clutch moments. Huge game against Green Bay. And I expect if they're going to be taking away all those options, I expect Jawan Jennings to have a big game as well.
Well, and this too. Hutchinson has 8 sacks in the past 4 games. Wonder what he does against Trent. Well, he'll likely won't even be going against Trent. They're going to move him over to go against Colton McKivitz, who's strangely enough, he's a Pro Bowl substitute, which I was like, what? But he's been our weakest offensive lineman. He's going to go against him. But we'll see how that holds up because they're probably going to have George Kittle there to bump him.
Yeah, helping Chip
him.
Absolutely.
Along with, the running backs too. Oh, yeah. That's going to be today is a good day to play cricket. He's from Australia. He doesn't watch football. David writes, if Debo plays, it will be a long day for the Lions. You have to worry about him in the pass and the run game. And it's true. And we've said that as well, that, they're going to have a hard time stopping both of them. Dork Knight writes, Bucks are trash team, but so are my Panthers. So, yeah, the Panthers have seen better days, Dork Knight. That's for sure. They have seen much better days. Let's see here. Let's see how the Lions do against the running backs. I know that they've been better against running backs than they have against receivers and tight ends. Let's see. Hold on. I didn't do it again. There we go. Okay, so far, the number 1 team against the run is the 49ers. They're averaging 4.25 yards a carry. That's great. And the Lions are the number 3 defense against the run. So they do have that going for them. That let me pull this up. I thought I was sharing it. There we go. Let me zoom in on this. One's even smaller.
I'd like to see the rankings of all the past 5 to 6 previous opponents as far as their offensive running rankings. Because the Detroit Lions haven't seen a run game like this all season.
Let me see. It's just year to date. I can't do past like previous 5 games or whatnot.
No.
That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
So let's go to wide receivers now. So wide receivers, well, there you go. They're 30th in the league against wide receivers. Again, this is going to be where they're going to struggle. Is trying to cover the Niners tight ends and receivers and McCaffrey out of the backfield. It's going to be a lot for them. And then this may even be a game where the Niners establish a pass game that leads to their rushing game, because then all of a sudden when they start running the ball, it's like, holy shit. So they may even try to start to establish a passing game that they hope will open up the run game, because they know the Lions are going to do everything they possibly can to take away that running game. So if you run the ball starting the game off, right, and you get a couple of runs for very short yardage, if not no yardage, you're automatically playing into their hands, and you're going to start throwing the ball on third down, especially if it's third and long. So I think that they're probably going to start off with some rollouts and some
easy completions, get Brock Purdy in a rhythm, exactly what you're alluding to.
Yeah. End arounds, and then slowly start, incorporating the run game. Once he's going to try and mix it up to the point where they won't know which way the Niners are coming at them, and then they're going to start running the ball. After they're gassed, after they're winded from running from sideline to sideline, then it's like, okay, now we're going to rush the ball with Christian McCaffrey right up the fucking middle. Yeah, and it's going to be great. And
some delayed runs. Really, you could almost say that the Niners could obviously use the Detroit pass rush against them. With a couple of little quick passes out to Christian McCaffrey,
the screen
George
game
Kittle,
as well.
Brandon Ayuk, the bubble screen game. Yes. Use their aggression against them, because they're going to be trying to disrupt the timing and the going and having Purdy go through all his progressions. So I think it's going to be up to Kyle to kind of script the game exactly how you're pretty much you're saying. Maybe start off with the passing game and let that open up our running game at the same time. So I think that's the recipe for success. We all know Kyle's great at scheming, the scripted first couple of series. So I hope he's in his bag of tricks, because I know a lot of people were calling into question a lot of his play calling as the second half winded down against the Packers, and how it affected going into the half and after. So
No, bro, you got it backwards, dude. It's the Niners versus everyone. Everyone outside of
seriously,
Northern California, everyone outside of Niner fans is like, "Go Lions!" And you know what, Nathan? I'll tell you this: if the Niners got knocked off by the Packers, I would be rooting for the Lions, without a doubt.
oh
I'd be
yeah,
like,
oh
"Fuck, go
absolutely,
Lions, dude! Go fucking
absolutely,
Lions!"
absolutely.
Lions. Well, yeah, that's gonna. There it is.
That's a
That's
true
gonna be the
fan right
score.
there. True fan right there.
Yeah,
Ride or
guys.
die.
Guys, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to leave a super chat, you can do so by watching the show over on the main channel, which is Nicotina. On that channel, I have super chats available, not on this channel. It's all 49ers versus everyone. It is. Everyone's like, go Lions. And like I said, if the Packers knocked us off, I would be all about the Lions right now. I'd be like, dude, I hope they take it all the way. Take it to the house. But, it is what it is.
This time around, the Niners are playing villain. We're supposed to be here. We're the number 1 seed, home field advantage. It's time to go take what, in my mind, belongs to us. It's been a really long time. We haven't been in this position before. I know we're going to make the most of it, take advantage of it. Can't wait for this matchup. So many storylines, so many matchups we can't wait to see. I do want to point out one matchup that I think is kind of going unnoticed. I know we've talked about in the secondary with Amon-Ra St. Brown and the potential of maybe Charvarius Ward shadowing him at times on the field.
I think he has to.
I don't think everybody remembers, though, that Demo Lenore and Amon-Ra St. Brown have much history going back all the way into their high school days, coming out of Los Angeles, playing football growing up against each other, going into the Pac-12. Amon-Ra St. Brown at USC, Demo Lenore to Oregon, University of Oregon, respectively, playing against each other twice every year until they made it to the NFL, and now they get a chance to go at each other on the biggest stage. Look for that matchup this week in the slot, maybe on the outside, Demo Lenore and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it's going to be one of the juiciest matchups in this game this Sunday.
Oh, I like how you said that, juiciest matchups. I like that.
Let's go.
I like it. I like it juicy. Guys, make sure you smash the like button. Also, guys, I've also, where is it? Here it is right here. No, I didn't do that. I also pinned a link to the chat, so if you wanted to jump on and talk about the Niners, the postseason, go right ahead. We got Daniel in the chat saying, Lions are facing a superior matchup with the 49ers. Lions gave up 2 sacks to the Bucs last weekend. 49ers will get their first sacks of the postseason on Sunday. I think so.
I think so
Jared
too.
Goff
I think this is a matchup, where they can actually finally get it home, and it's gonna be disruptive all day. Bosa leads the team in pressures. The Niners lead the league in pressures, and I think it's not so much about the end result and getting the sack. It's disrupting Jared Goff, making him uncomfortable, forcing him into mistakes.
Yeah, no, definitely.
The sacks will come though.
Jared Goff has the the scramble ability of like a Jimmy Garoppolo, where he can't get very far. He's just like, oh shit, and then so
his reaction time is a little is suspect, and that's why I think you will see the results of the ending result of actually getting the sack.
Yeah, no, he's definitely more of a pocket passer, and our defensive line is meant to destroy pocket passers. That's why if the last 2 teams left in the AFC, you're looking at Kansas City and Baltimore, both have mobile quarterbacks for the most part. Obviously Lamar is much more mobile than Patrick Mahomes, but still.
Yeah, great escapability from them both, but obviously strong enough, like we said earlier, to shed tackles at the same time. You think you have them and you don't.
Now, I did want to share this real quick, so let me let me drop this real quick. And I want to show this interview from a good friend of mine, Mr. Ryan Hensley, over on the Ryan Hensley Show over on YouTube. And he got a chance to interview Mike Singletary. I think he posted it today. And so he asked him about Brock Purdy. So let's hear what Mike Singletary had to say about Brock Purdy. Let me pull this up. Yeah, I know. I was actually like, oh, he talked about Brock. Okay, let's see what he has to say. All right, and let me go full screen and let me know if you can hear this or it's gonna load. Bro, really?
A lot of talk about the
There we go.
quarterback for the 49ers, Brock Purdy, and you hear anything from
Can you
just
hear
the
that?
game manager to
Yeah, I got it.
Jimmy G 2.0, and to the other side of it, he's the next Drew Brees, he's the next Joe Montana. What do you think about that talk about Brock Purdy? And does he remind you of anyone, or how do you see Brock Purdy in general as a quarterback, as a player?
You know, to me, it's still too early to tell. I think you know, he's played well in games that you're supposed to play well in, and I think in the playoffs it's a little bit different, and the speed is a little faster. And I think, you know, as teams continue to come out after him, if teams can stop the run and put the game on his shoulders and make him have to win the game, that's how you're going to tell the kind of quarterback that he is. Can he win a game in the playoffs when the other teams really focus on the run and they're challenging you to win the game? Brock Purdy, let's see if you can win the game when we take away your running game. What can you do now? If he can win those games, now you begin to say, man, he kind of reminds me of Joe Montana. He kind of reminds me of Drew Brees. Then you can make those accusations.
Yeah, it's too early for those comparisons. Yeah, that tends to be my opinion as well, but promising so far.
So again, I mean, let me mute this again. So from Mike Singletary, if he can start doing that, then it makes a difference, right? And he's already done that in his first playoff game. He led them down the field to win that game, in a game where they didn't have a passing game going. They made a lot of errors. They had a lot of penalties. All the breaks were going towards the Packers, and still he led them down the field in that final drive. And I think he was 6 of 7, leading them down the field with that run, and they got the touchdown and they won the game. It was fucking huge. Trevino writes, Detroit wins 31-24. Hey, you know what? It's a prediction, you know, and we're going to get to ours in just a little bit. But again, this brings up, you know, the other topic is, why is it that the analysts, the mainstream media wants to shit on Brock Purdy? And you would think normally this is the kind of story that they run with. They're like, hey, he was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last pick in the draft. He got hurt in the NFC title game. Think about the storybook season he could have had last year. And now he's back, and he's back in the NFC title game after leading them down the field to win the game against the Packers.
Yeah.
A super hot team.
Exactly. No, I think you know, the media is going to shed a negative light. It's the position he was picked at. He's got the Mr. Irrelevant title. No one was predicting him to even probably be in the starting position lasting this long. We didn't know if he was actually going to speculation with the arm injury he suffered last year in the NFC Championship game, that he was potentially not ready to play. And I think people were already right then and there starting to write him off. He comes back after the preseason. He's led the league in pass, accuracy or passing accuracy, efficiency, yards per attempt, you name it. He's right up there in the top 3 with touchdowns, passing touchdowns this season. He's already broken the single season passing yards for the San Francisco franchise. I mean, there's so many things he's already checked off the list at such a young age and such a young stage in his career. But again, there hasn't been a lot of tape on him. He's hasn't even gone through 2 full seasons yet in the league. I think the story for them still needs to be written on Brock Purdy. We as supporters of the team see it differently when he has continued to answer the call when needed, when he's been that consistent foundation for the offense. Kyle Shanahan trusts him with the offense to a degree that we haven't seen since his time potentially his time back in Atlanta with Matt Ryan as the quarterback. an who was an MVP, who won the MVP that year. And Brock Purdy was on the cusp of winning that same prestigious award this year too. When you look at everything from last year to this year, I think he is the answer for this franchise. He's the answer for this offense. And it remains to be seen where he will end up when it's all said and done, when his story is finished, where he will be as an NFL quarterback in this league. But right now, he is doing everything that has been asked of him in order to be successful, in order to get San Francisco where they want to be for the last 2 years, the NFC Championship with a chance to play in the Super Bowl. What more can you ask of the kid?
Exactly. Matt Ryan, the actor? No, not that Matt Ryan.
I like that. That was good.
He played Constantine, the actor Matt Ryan.
Yeah, right.
Niner for Life writes, I really think it's because he was the last pick, and he was the last pick, and should not be playing like he is. I mean, it's that, and it really pisses them off. But the biggest stigma that I've been hearing the most is that, well, he's on a great team. He's on a super team, so he can, go out there and throw for all these yards, throw for all these touchdowns because he's got elite talent all around him. If he was on a weaker team, he would suck. And I feel like that's such a shitty way to look at what Brock Purdy has accomplished, being a second-year player when he only played half a season last year. And even in this season, he's played better than a ton of quarterbacks who were drafted the same year. Look at Kenny Pickett. Where's he at now? Nowhere.
Absolutely. I mean, it was Tommy John surgery, ultimately, what he had to go through. And people, I mean, look at baseball careers. Some careers end with that surgery. We didn't even know if he was going to be able to throw all this year, and look at what he's been able to do statistically, time in and time out. Obviously, we know what happened midway through the season during the losing streak. We've said that before, but at the same time, he has progressed. He has excelled on this team, and he's made the team, in my mind, better. There's all these arguments saying that he doesn't elevate the team play around him. I can argue that it does, or we wouldn't be in this situation that
Absolutely.
we're in.
I mean, he threw for over 4,000 yards. That's fifth in the league.
Come on, I mean,
31 touchdowns.
Yes,
that's third in the league.
The other stat that goes unnoticed is we were 30th, maybe 30 to 32 in pass attempts total on the year, yet we led the league. He led the league in yards per attempt. So I mean, the efficiency is eye opening for sure.
I think he ended the year with a 10.7 yards per pass.
A pass. That's a first down every pass. I don't care who you are. That is an amazing stat in your second, not even your second full season starting.
Well, at the same time, though, I think that when you look at some of his strengths, is that he's constantly trying to attack. He's attacking. He's not
always
looking for the short yardage. Looking downfield. But it could be a detriment, as he's always trying to attack the point where he may overlook some of the defenses like he did in against the Ravens. I think that was the first time he took on an elite defense.
I get it. Yeah.
Well, but like I said, that was the first time he was taking on an elite defense. The last time he took on an elite defense at the time was the Eagles last year.
Previous.
And he got hurt. And if he hadn't gotten hurt, who knows how he would have done. But I mean, he has the number one QBR rating in the league at 72.8, and it was higher than that at one point before the Ravens game, especially. Let's see here. Daniel adds, since last year, he is 20-5, leads in passer ratings and completions of 20+, number 3 in touchdowns, number 4 in passing yards and completion percentage. He was the last pick in the draft. Just enjoy the story. Exactly. But here's the thing. And being a content creator, for as many years as I've had, it's obvious, and everyone knows this, is that negativity is the easiest thing to sell. And so instead of praising, because look, you can't praise Lamar and praise Brock at the same time, and praise the Lions and praise the Chiefs for getting back to the AFC title game. Okay. You got to find one of those 4 teams to shit on. The easiest one is Brock Purdy because he was Mr. Irrelevant. He shouldn't be doing the things he's doing. He's only doing it because he's on a super team. That's why he's doing it. And it's such a shitty way to look at Brock Purdy. So from a mainstream media standpoint, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Who can we make into our big topic? And they're talking about Brock like every single fucking day.
Yeah, no. It's funny. Yeah, he's mainstream media. I know they're trying to put it in a negative light. I mean, but he's literally talked about on a daily basis. It's pretty interesting to see his rise to stardom. Yet once he's gotten there, it's just shit on him. He shouldn't be here. Interesting how the medium works.
They're just waiting for him to crumble. And against the Packers, I'm sorry, but he was kind of proving them right because I was like, come on, man, pull it together. And then what did he do? He led the team down the field at the end of the game for a touchdown. And he threw a touchdown to George Kittle, which was a great pass on the run as well.
Absolutely.
So check this out. So let's go to this other. I have a couple more things to show before we start wrapping things up. But I want to show you this. This was the audio on. This was a snippet from the press conference that Kyle Shanahan gave today. This was Larry Krueger, one of my inspirations. If you're out there, Larry, thank you. And this is Larry asking the tough questions of Kyle Shanahan. So that's there. Okay.
9-yard.
Can you guys hear that?
Touchdown run by McCaffrey.
Yeah.
It looked like Warner might have been on the wrong side of the formation, and the mics picked up Brock saying, stay there. What was going on that play? Was he on the wrong side of the formation? Was that a heads-up play by Purdy?
Stay there. Play clock's winding down. They get it off. McCaffrey, right side, big seam, cut, 30. McCaffrey!
Hold on, I got to mute it so I don't get hit with copyright.
We changed plays, we balanced it out on which way we're going to run. And then he was supposed to flip in motion, and we were just too late in the count. So Brock, instead of having him flip in motion, he just took the motion off and left him there because we were low on the play clock.
Wow.
But even to have the awareness of doing that, I think is huge. And then
look at the result too.
Exactly. And Nathan, if you're still out there, Nathan, I got some more stats for you right here. This is courtesy of NFL Stats. The home team in the NFC Championship game is 8-2 in the last 10 years. So I'm sorry, buddy. I'm gonna like that.
80% percentage.
And then you saw this this video I sent you earlier about how every quarterback that's beaten the Niners, and we've only scored 17 points, has been lost for the year. Deshaun Watson, he didn't play that game, but still lost for the year after that game. We scored 17 points against the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, out for the season the very next week. 17 points against the Bengals. We lost. Joe Burrow, out for the season. And then he goes, so what if the ref went back in time and tripped him to give him that 2-point or give him the safety so that they couldn't get 17 points? See, he's like, oh, it was such a random play. It all has to do with time travel. It's all one big conspiracy theory. It is, dude. I'm telling you. I thought that was great, though. I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that.
He saved Lamar's season.
Yeah, he's like, you're going to get hurt. I'm fine.
That's great. 17 points.
Daniel writes, if Brock plays great, it's because of his weapons. If Brock sucks and the Niners lose, it's I told you so. Exactly, and it's bullshit. It'll be I told you so for maybe a few days, a week, and then they'll move on to the Super Bowl, and then and then you will hear about it again the following season when everything starts back up again. Now, look, I think I think Brock's gonna have a big bounce back game. He's gonna play a lot better than he did against the Green Bay Packers. So, real quick, dude, as we get down to the end of the show here, let's go over what we had talked about earlier. Keys to being the Lions. My keys were. I agree with you in tackling. We got to make sure that we're making those tackles, especially the linebackers, and stopping the run
yards
game.
after the catch. Yes,
exactly, absolutely tackling. Number 2 was unlocking Christian McCaffrey. We both agreed on that. That is a major key to winning this game is unlocking Christian McCaffrey and making him the biggest threat on the field. And biggest distraction as well. And number 3 for me was getting pressure on Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, exactly.
Jared Goff cannot. He's not a mobile quarterback. He doesn't do well under pressure. We have one of the best pass rushes in the game, and it's built to destroy quarterbacks that are pocket passers. And that's why I think that's one of the biggest keys to the game is getting pressure on Jared Goff. Now, I said the same thing about the Packers, but they were number 2 in defending their quarterback as an offensive line against the pass rush. And you can tell because, I mean, both the Cowboys and the Niners had no sacks on the quarterback, although we did have a lot of pressures on the quarterback. Did you have any other keys that you think were keys to beating the Lions, or you think those are our main 3?
I think those are pretty much the key for me, and you can integrate a couple other things within those as well too. But those should be the 3 main points for a victory on Sunday. Definitely,
I think so. And the other one too, and this is an honorable mention of a key to beating the Lions.
Yeah,
is I think we have to we need to sit Logan Ryan and play Jair Brown.
Yeah.
I think Jair Brown is a tougher player. He's bigger. He's wider. I think you need that hard-hitting safety out there to take on guys like Montgomery. I don't see Logan Ryan be able to take him down.
You're going to need those ball hawking skills too. This could be a huge game where every opportunity that ball's in the air and you have a chance to make a play on it. This is the game to do it. And I think Jair Brown excels in that. That's what he was known for in college. That's why we drafted him. And I think that's why, I mean, granted, you had the injury to Talanoa Hufanga, but I think he was going to see the field one way or another before the season ended.
Well, and I know he had the knee injury, and I know when they asked him why Jair Brown didn't get the start against the Packers, they said, look, he hadn't played in 3 weeks. We didn't want to just throw him out there and be
Put the pressure on him, I guess. Yeah.
And so that's why they went with the veteran of Logan Ryan. But in that big 53-yard run by Aaron Jones, Logan Ryan was one of the main guys who missed a key tackle.
Absolutely.
Which actually led to the big run. He could have ended that run.
And I want to say that same play when they got to the end zone, he also gave up the touchdown to the receiver, and I can't remember who caught it. Licks or something.
It was Fant, I think, or Wicks. It was one of their tight ends, I thought. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's not in the playoffs anymore anyway. But yeah, he had to race over to try to cover that. He couldn't get there in time. And I think Logan Ryan is better suited as a corner than a safety. So I hope they go with Jair Brown. I think he's just much more of a gamer. He wants it. He's tough. He hasn't made, like, when he's out in the field, he hasn't made that big mistake. He hasn't made that rookie move where you're like, oh man, get this guy out of here.
That eye-opening mistake. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
he hasn't done anything close to what Ambry Thomas has done, and especially against the Packers. You know, that was like, we're all like, oh, get him out of the game, but we're like, for who? I don't know. Who do you bring in? Darrell Luter, he has little experience. Womack, same thing. So
yeah.
And I don't think they're going to make a change with Ambry Thomas. I think they're going to stick with Ambry Thomas. He has to fucking really shit the bed for them to say, okay, we got to get you out of there.
Yeah, they've kind of lived and died with him all season. Even in games that he previously had where he didn't perform to the best of his ability, he always seemed to bounce back. And I know we were kind of writing him off earlier in the week, but time has settled. You look at the depth on the secondaries. There's really not that many more options, and I think this is a vote of confidence. I know Charvarius Mooney Ward was advocating for him that it was just one game. They now have given him another opportunity to redeem himself, and I think we're going to see a bigger game. He's going to be way more motivated to redeem himself this week. Maybe we can add him to the list as an X factor this week on one side of the football. If he can continue to play consistent on one side like he has most of this season, I think that's going to go a long way in us sealing this victory on Sunday.
Absolutely, and also play more Javon Kinlaw. Like Sebastian Day was out there, but he was just getting fucking ran over. I didn't see him making a difference whatsoever. I even pointed out during the game, I was watching it with Daniel, and I was just like, dude, they're running right at Joseph Day, and they're getting chunk yardage on the ground. They need to get him out of there, because, I mean, if there's anyone who's going to stop the run better than, because obviously Hargrave is a much better pass rusher than he is a run stopper. So I think in those running type of plays, you got to have Kinlaw in there in place of Hargrave to give that big, stout, body. He's stronger. He's bigger. and him with Armstead.
Arm span, yeah. Armstead too. Armstead's going to have to show up this week because obviously he was.
He didn't. We know he's 100%.
We know he's banged up.
Yeah.
So
and they were playing him a lot too, but I feel like he wasn't 100%, and that's why he wasn't really going full steam. But he also hadn't played in 5 weeks.
Yeah. Get your game legs underneath you. He's had that, he had the reps from the actual playoff game. He's had another week to prepare, and again get to where he wants to be. So hopefully he's improved a little bit, and hopefully we get the better version of the Eric Armstead this week, because we're going to need him to stop that run game.
Absolutely, and those are our keys to the game for Lions versus Niners. So moving on from that, I just want to go into this one last thing. Hold on, I got to make a banner for it. There we go. So the last thing we're going to talk about is the final score. Let's give our final score predictions of this game. Go ahead and give your final prediction of the score. And anyone in the chat, if you're still here, there's 9 people watching right now. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and give us your final score prediction for Lions versus Niners this Sunday.
I think I had given my prediction on our last show, and I'm gonna stick with it. I think I had Niners 31, Lions 17. I think like we discussed, Purdy and the wide receiving core have an opportunity to have a big day. No inclement weather. Brock Purdy can sling it like he wants to. He's going to get his receivers in space. They're going to get yards after the catch. And I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have a bigger game than the previous week too. Like I said, I don't think Detroit has seen a running game quite like ours. I'd like to see those stats as far as the run offensives they faced prior to us. And I think this is going to be the week where the front seven get pressure on Jared Goff, cause a turnover or two. And I think we win easily. Like I said, 31-17.
I don't think the Lions fans still here. I think Nathan left already, but I wanted to hear what he gave his score prediction, which was
it? There it is. There it is.
1,000,000,000 to 0. There we go. So going through the chat, 34-17, 35-17, 35-24. I'm putting in my score prediction right now, which is basically 38-21. And I think that it's going to be 34-17. And then, or 31-17, and then they'll push to 38-17, and they'll get, somehow get to 21.
Even though they can't. It. Purdy for 30, baby. I think he's getting to at least 30. So we see it on all the score predictions.
That's one of my members right there, Axel Droga. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. So there we go. So your final score was what? You said 34-17?
For mine?
Yeah.
Mine's 31-17.
31-17. So 31-17, and I'm 38-21, and Daniel is 35-17. So still not breaking really that far over 20 that we're predicting. None of us are. But they have an explosive offense, and I feel like their offense likes to drive the ball down the field. They don't do a lot of big plays, big passes down the field. Now, they might do that this week against Ambry Thomas, so we got to watch out for that. They might try to throw the ball deep to see if he gives up that PI, but only time will tell how it's going to turn out.
Some bad penalties.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and let's hope he can overcome that. But you never freaking know. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the show. I want to thank Dre Day 49 for coming out here and talking with me again about the 49ers like we always do.
You can always count on me, bud. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. And then Daniel was going to join us today, but he had a meeting with his women's club, and so he had to. He was busy. He was busy tonight.
He could do that. He's his brother, so.
Yeah, I'm his brother, so I can do that all I want. Guys, make sure you smash the like button.
Till Sunday, baby. Let's go.
Till Sunday, baby. That's it, man. And we'll be back again. We'll be back again Sunday night to talk about the NFC Championship game, to talk about both NFC Championship games at that point. It's going to be an exciting day. NFC Championship Sunday. I can't wait. And, guys, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to become a member and support the channel, you can do so by joining or hitting that link down below or joining us over on Patreon. I want to thank everyone who came out tonight. You guys are awesome. You guys kick
Appreciate
ass.
everybody.
You guys made this stream so much better. Thank you, Bang Bang. Later,
David,
guys.
Felix.
Faithful.
See you
Brother
tomorrow.
Tina.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
there we go. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.